Okay, good morning, everybody. It is January 19th, 2023. This morning we have, our topic is payroll and timesheets. We're gonna update and talk about ACLS registration. And at first, Chantel wants to just run through a few announcements. So if you can give your attention, that would be great. Put your questions in the chat if you have anything. I'll stop sharing for now. Okay. Little camera. If you want to be on this.
I mean, I never do, but
Okay.
you always make me be.
Sorry.
We have a few people. Okay, Andrea talked about a couple of these things during huddle, but just to reset. Speak up if you need anesthesia. I'm sure there's going to be like 20 or 30 more people just come to this in the next few seconds, but speak up if you need anesthesia. That is what they're here for. If you need anesthesia to stay, speak up if you need them to stay. We talked about this in huddle, but those of you who are at home, I just need to get away from the light.
Yeah.
It's thanks.
Right. Sorry.
Okay. You have to take out IVs. We have to take out IVs. I know you get so busy and you're trying to get rid of this patient. The charge nurse is coming at you with a new one. Take out those IVs. Don't block them. Skin assessment. This is becoming a little bit of an issue again. So Margaret does some deeper dives into any fracture injuries that are associated with us and the OR. A lot of times we eat them because of our lack of skin assessment documentation.
Why though? Like today I did that. I'm like, do you have any areas of skin breakdown?
Yeah.
Then I go over to put the IV in. He has cellulitis on his thumb.
Yeah, don't ask them. You got to look at their skin.
Let me see your book.
Patients, yep.
You do. You have to say,
No judgment on that state.
I need to see everything.
I need to see everything. Yeah. Don't. They're gonna lie to you. You know, you're gonna roll them over and they're gonna have like a. Yes.
So a little.
Yep. Like you got to see it. Like.
Let me see your phone.
Yeah.
Our other one was if they're alert, just ask them if they're home, then you assess them.
I mean, if they're, my age and alert, and you can probably trust me, and I'm not sitting around more than in my office going through my emails, and I probably have developed a pressure ulcer, but some people you probably can, but there's a certain demographic that you have to look at their skin. We did talk a little bit ago about making sure you don't put it in comments, but put it in the actual avatar. So it's there. But I looked at a couple of them just to understand better with Margaret yesterday, and it was all preventable on our part. And then we eat those pressure injuries. I mean, they're ours. The other thing why we need to look at skin is sometimes when we send a patient to the OR and they're getting other medication and we don't know they have fentanyl patches on. So we don't know they have fentanyl patches going in, and then we don't know they have fentanyl patches coming out, and we're giving more fentanyl and everything else. So we have to look at their skin. Pumps. We talked about this. Escalate that quickly. We got to have pumps. Like if you're sending a patient out and they're just on some LR or, whatever, I might let that one go, but we have to have pumps. We have to have pumps. We cannot send patients upstairs on
Blood products, any kind of drip. It has to be on a pump to go to the floor.
This patient should have priority.
Correct.
To get that pump. Like,
yes.
If you're just running venous fluid and somebody needs it to run something,
give it up.
Yeah.
Or if you're that nurse who's starting those drips, ask. There is somebody around you that appreciates the fact that you need a pump, but then escalate it. Let your nurse chargers, let the supervisors know so we can get on the horn and start getting pumps in here. Wristband. Make sure your patients have wristband. Don't send them back to the OR without it. Don't send them. I know. Which, when they get back to the floor, put one on them before you send them upstairs, right? I mean, I hate to say this. Yes, it's very good. The patient has a wristband on for identification, blah, blah, all those things. But know that when they go somewhere, anywhere, that nurse is going to be like, where's their wristband? I'm going to put it in an RL.
I was told to write it up too if they come to the OR without wristband.
Yes.
I mean, that's dangerous. If the patient
Yes.
facility or their name. I mean.
Yes.
We're not supposed to accept them if they don't have a band on.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep. Try to address it when you've got those resident and anesthesia on there. Discharge criteria. Somebody emailed me. They looked into like their patients that they were flagged red for. And there were some discrepancies that would be okay. That would not flag them as not being complete. So we're gonna, Andrea has reached out to the person who presents that, who puts that data together to see if maybe it's not right, but we're down to like 69% mid month. So it's not all data.
Is that new opioid one?
I don't think so.
I have a lot of inpatients and I say like, not, this isn't applicable to
Yeah.
being inpatient, and it's still when I do my checkup,
that-
it says like, you haven't addressed opioid. It's like, well, I don't know what else you want me to do.
I don't think that counts,
It
does it?
shouldn't count if they're going, you said they're,
staying.
If
oh,
they're
they're
staying.
staying. Yeah, because they still have the opportunity to do education.
Yeah.
On the floor when they write their discharge prescription. So it's just a like reminder that we need to
Mhm.
address it. It's not a hard stop.
Yeah.
So you just bypass it. It's just to grab our attention constantly, but I know it's kind of annoying because if they're
Like, I did
inpatient.
everything, and then it's still like.
Pops up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it true that if I'm like, let's say I'm orienting someone, they're doing all the charting, but I'm also signed into the chart and they're doing the yes, the no, all that stuff. And I've had it reflect on me where
Yeah.
I know that it was done, but I'm signed into the chart and I'm not the one charting it, or if I'm off, if I didn't sign myself out during the break and somebody
Mhm.
else exits the patient, then I get the dinged for it and then.
So that like through a chart audit.
Yeah, it's happened a lot before to me, I feel like, so I
Um,
don't really sign.
So just be mindful if you are precepting that we go back and look at their documentation, that you are signed in. And so we're asking you to like double check their charting if they are missing something,
No,
but
they do it, but it seems I'm signed into the chart and I'm not doing it. That makes sense.
But it should capture the time that like it's required, so it shouldn't ding you, but I like,
This chart too, because I'm also taking care of the patient, so I mean. So
I think if
don't
it's with an
know.
orientee, you would get dinged, but if not, if you're covering a break
then
or
it's kind of
something.
reflects your guys' number, you know what I mean, so.
Mhm.
Maybe your
Yeah.
numbers look worse because.
I'll ask.
Little.
I don't know.
technicality things.
Yeah.
yeah.
Especially if it's like a dramatic, like, change.
Jot.
Or
Yeah.
someone
Yeah.
that helps chart your patient out, and then they're not technically signed in, I mean,
Sure.
that's what I mean, so it just, even though.
Yeah.
I'll ask that data.
There could be
person.
some hidden things that are
Is-
reflecting our
yes.
numbers that really aren't like happening.
Yeah. Pizza party next Thursday, January 26th. I think we said 11 and 6.
Yeah.
11
So
and
that way
6?
we capture morning, day shift and afternoon, night shift. So pizza party.
We'll keep some pulled back or do something for night shift.
And that's for hand washing?
That's for hand washing, 95%, a big deal, and no pressure. Now that it's up that high, you have to keep it up that high. Like that's how this goes. And the last thing, and real quickly, because I'm sorry, I'm already late for a meeting. We have some orientees coming off. Gone are the days where everybody in PACU has been a critical care or a ED nurse, with 25 years of experience. Okay. So no one wants to be that nurse who eats their young.
Right.
No one wants to work with that nurse either. I don't. So please, as these people, I know we have a group coming off and I know we've had lots of orientation going. We have lots more coming. Please be supportive, look for opportunities to check in with those, not just people coming off orientation, those younger, less experienced, I shouldn't say younger, those less experienced nurses.
Yeah. And techs even. Yeah, I will say we're trying to prep them as much as we can. We've given them a ton of resources. We have, evaluated, we have re-educated, we have, done further presentations.
But some things you all know, like we've talked about this a lot, the supervisors and educators, some things come with experience. You are never going to get comfortable in some situations. You are not going to have the critical thinking abilities that you have when you've been a nurse for 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years that you do when you've been a nurse for 2 or 3 years. You have to learn those things. You have to experience them to learn them. So
Bottom line, we just collectively want to be supportive of any and all of our new staff, existing staff. We're a team
Mhm.
and always bounce ideas off of the new people. So then they're learning too, you know, like, hey, this is a good experience. Have you
Yeah.
seen this? You know, instead of them always coming to us, don't be afraid to like
drag them in.
drag them in. So, yeah.
It has been very encouraging seeing all the emails, probably 4 or 5 in the last week or so, of staff thanking other staff. So keep that coming. It does mean a lot. We don't do it enough because we necessarily don't see it all the time, but that is very encouraging us. I think it's very encouraging to that person and your coworkers around you. So Trisha's going to teach you all
Thank
about
you.
payroll.
I'm not.
Oh, wait a second.
I do have, do you have one? Sophia
Sorry,
Fulton,
yes,
that must be
I just
Valenia.
wanted
Do you have a
to,
question?
Yeah, for Chantel, actually. I did mention to Margaret Fast too.
No? Yeah.
Yes, I do have a question. Sorry.
I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna work
Tricia?
through this
Chantel?
payroll information that Amanda put together.
Oh,
She's on Zoom. Amanda's here. I don't know, Amanda, if you want to take yourself off Zoom or off mute.
I'm here.
Everybody wants to know if you're here.
I'm here. You just might hear the dog in the
Say
background.
hi. Anything?
wonder
Make
if their
sure your
computer's,
sound
like,
is
muted.
on
Let me try.
too. You're not on mute.
Can anybody else hear me?
I know she was on her phone. I'm gonna hide this.
We can
now
hear you on Zoom.
So we can work through the slides. Again,
I don't
I'm
think
not the
Tricia
payroll
can hear
person.
any
I'm
of
just
us.
providing the information
tried
and
to text
slides.
her.
So bear with me. I'm on, you can't hear us. Nope, you can't.
I did the meeting about.
I'm not on mute.
Can you hear Trisha?
The speakers. That's for
Try again.
this guy. Okay,
Amanda, I
Amanda,
can
if you
hear
want to
you
say
fine.
hi,
Can you hear me now?
you can hear me.
I can hear you.
We can hear you. Can you hear Valenia talk?
Oh. Okay, my speakers are working.
I don't think I can hear you.
It's in the chat.
I'm trying to text her at the
Zoom
same
can
time.
hear. Okay. I don't know. On your end, just let me know if you can. Says Valenia was trying to talk to. Get rid of that. Okay, try again. Anybody? Can you guys talk?
Can you hear us? Trisha?
I got nothing. All right, I'm just gonna go through because I know that like patients are gonna start rolling out and we'll hopefully figure this out. Okay, so first thing, timesheets. You all know the timesheet binder is in the PACU, sits behind anesthesia in the cabinet. It is your responsibility to update your own timesheet. For you to get paid, you got to update it. Your timesheets are bi-weekly to ensure they're accurate, payroll and paycheck. Amanda says she's not picky about the format. You just need to be able to read it. So that's a big thing, like handwriting on the sheets themselves can get a little challenging. So just be mindful of that. Obviously, if she can't comprehend, then she's not going to be able to pay you. So just be mindful of your handwriting. Your part, sign it. Amanda will send one email reminder before picking up the timesheets on Monday mornings. When there's an exception to your schedule, like on call, OT, home early, calling in business time, include that time on your timesheet. So it's very important that you include that. Military time is preference for best accuracy. I know I didn't know that. So think military time to write if you're 8 AM to 1600, so 8 to 4. That's actually for better accuracy, that she can plug that in her system. Emails can be sent if you forget to make changes, but the expectation is to sign your timesheet. Just curious what's in the chat. I can hear. This volume is up, so I'm not quite sure what's going on. Okay, here's a visual of the timesheet. Is this new as far as this bottom box?
Yes.
That was new like this last year, or even months. Okay. I know that I saw emails like flying out, whatever. So the top section is just where your actual schedule is printed in there, and then you write anything else that is applicable, of like the extra hours, the on-call, leaving early, tardy, whatever. Okay, recording your time. Whenever you work something other than your scheduled shift that you're, pre-booked for, please put your start and end time in the comment section. So at the top right there, you can always add stuff or another explanation there on the right. She wants to know the details. This long list is for what? Okay, I'll send that back to her. Maybe on the timesheet itself, if you can expand those boxes. Amanda, I don't know if we can tweak the
To
form a little
expand them
bit.
like
That'll be easier
out, or to
put your
try and
info in there.
expand them up.
So things that you want to put in there include if you're late, if you're on call or working on call, or actually called in, sleep time, FMLA, PTO, extended sick, either for yourself or a family member. If you're leaving early because you come in and then you have to leave and you're sick. And that includes leaving for an appointment that you requested to leave, half hour early or hour early for an appointment, that you get that approved by management. Home early or low census, overtime over appointment, including working holiday. This includes the unit needs and covering another staff member. Your business time for any committees, meetings, the in-services training. She does want to see that because my understanding is that budget-wise, like time is taken out just for business, just for meetings and education stuff or whatever. So that is important to put that on your timesheet. Charge nurse premium. Now, make sure that you're indicating that. And then the newest thing is MOT hours. So to raise attention for the whole, how much time we're spending over at MOT, indicate that on your timesheet. Everybody, that how many hours that our staff is pulled to take care of patients over there.
How would that work for the text with clocking in or clocking out? Is there one you can ask for that?
I guess so. How would that work for the text? Amanda, do they need to indicate their MOT hours? Yes.
That's what I thought. That's what I-
Anytime if you're pre-scheduled or called in or pulled,
Like after hours.
anytime, yeah. Okay,
Trying to answer in chat since she can't hear me.
right. Amanda wrote a couple things in the chat. I'm just gonna read through.
And 20 minute walking.
Yeah, walking is their time.
So to expand those boxes, I think she was talking about, to expand them out, they're wider, or to expand them up for more rows, probably just anything in general, wider. She can try, limited to do how many boxes for each option. So she'll give it a try. Especially on the one at the top we're asking. Okay, Danielle wrote, if we can make. Sorry, she's texting me at the same time. If we can make the boxes bigger, that'd be great. Hard to write. Business time is coded separately and has impact on our trigger. So that justifies then anytime that you're pulled out just to do like your ACLS or whatever, you should indicate business time when you have that approved by management. The MOT hours and business time. Oh, my bad. Just for nurses. So you can't I guess that's just so they can write it in. You guys don't have to actually write that you're at Mott. Amanda has personally put out 25 panic. Okay, good chiming in there, Crystal. Next up, let's see what we got. Recording your time. So timesheets are printed with your standard regular hours, which we already mentioned. Working holiday on call OAOT must be added. It's important that you know what time you start and the end for working on call. So don't just put that that you came in at 4 o'clock. Make sure you put an end time. This impacts the shift premium, which you'll get paid more. So make sure you tally up your total hours and then she can adjust for shift premiums. If you write the number of hours in the box, please note the times in the comments. And then Mott hours are being tracked. Please note what days and times are worked at Mott. So that's for nurses only. Let's see, did I miss anything else? Sometimes people don't add working on holiday hours. Those shifts are not pre-built into your timesheet, just FYI. So make sure you are including your holiday in that top section. It's only going to say your 10-hour shifts, your 410s. And then if you work that weekend or if you work the holiday or whatever, you have to indicate that. This is a screenshot then. Looks like somebody that works Monday through Friday, and then down below, they had a late arrival because they had a flat tire. They were on call then the 5th, 11 to 7, and then they worked some OTOA on the 8th. And obviously you have your signature there via Harry Potter as an example. Working at Mott. Anytime worked at Mott needs to be noted. She gets a general idea of who is at Mott based on the dailies. If you are sent back to Maine at the end of the night, that's not updated on the daily. So the charge nurses don't put like Megan was there and then pulled back. So make sure you write on your timesheet that you were only there for 5 hours of your shift. Any on-call and weekend time worked at Mott is not listed anywhere, so she does rely on us to inform her. So sounds like a big emphasis on documenting your time at Mott. So you can see another example. So this person went over there like 4 different times. A 10 a.m. to 8:30 shift, a 10 to 6, and then at the bottom, that's where then return back to UH on the 14th on call in to Mott from 8 to 10, and then worked at Mott. So hopefully that gives you an example of what she wants to see on your timesheets when you're working over there. Any questions about that? Sick call-ins, tardies. Oh, I'm like, who is it? FMLA. So call-ins are covered with your PTO. Anybody MNA call-ins, the nurses do not keep your shift premium. A tardy is arriving after your shift start time or leaving before the shift end. Anything less than 1 hour. So 59 minutes, if you're late for 59 minutes, it's just a tardy. Anything after an hour, it actually ends up being a full occurrence. So if you're going to be late only 59 minutes. If you're going to be later than that, you might as well call off. That's kind of been the ongoing, it's kind of a joke. It's not a joke, but it's like, you're going to get an occurrence, take the day, I guess. But if you want to be a really loyal employee, still come in and help your coworkers. That's the message, right? Yeah. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. This thing's being recorded. FMLA can be for yourself or family. You must be employed for 1 year or worked worked over 1,000 or 1,200 hours in 1 year to look back at the time of submission for FMLA. FMLA for yourself is paid with PTO or extended sick time. Those in the union are granted after 2 years, non-bargained for, granted after 1 year. FMLA for family can be paid with PTO or approved no pay. You must note the preference on your timesheet to be used. So that's important to, if you're using FMLA, to explain like how you're using it. Examples below that first line, they called in sick, PTU approved 10 hours. The next two, they were late. And then the 7th and 8th, FMLA self noted their extended self as qualified because they've been here for 2 years and worked that many hours. If they were 1 year, it would qualify for family. I don't know much about FMLA. Let's see, does she have any more input on that? Any other questions on that kind of stuff? Yeah, people laughing. We'll keep going on. Amanda, yeah, and or management, I guess. The question was, who approves if the FMLA is paid or unpaid? I think it's your decision if you have the PTO. What did you say? You write it on, so it's your choice if you get paid or not paid. It's a matter of if you qualify for it or not. If you've been here long enough. Yeah. Let me see if that's what she wrote. Oh. The last question, Amanda, is who approves the FMLA, like how it's going to be paid, if it's paid or no pay? But I kind of muddled and answered that. I think it's correct. It's basically the employee's decision if they take no pay or if they have their PTO cover it. Is that right? Or is that only for family?
Are you forced to PTO for yourself? Yeah.
If it is for family member, then the staff member chooses. If the FMLA is for themselves, then they have to use PTO.
You don't have, we don't have. So,
Then if you're approved to have FMLA, then you take no pay if you don't have PTO to cover it.
Oh, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a six-time part taken. After 2 years. Yeah, a little bridge.
So she just answered here, if it is for yourself, and then they've bridged them for 2 weeks for nurses of PTO, then they've been here for 2 years, then you bridge to extended sick time.
Either way, it's all coming out of your
Yeah.
PTO rate, so you're
Correct.
not getting the occurrences for all the days.
Correct. It's covered. It's excused. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Business time. Business time must be noted on timesheets. This includes meetings and services, committees, training. Wait, did we already do this one? No. If you attend an in-service Zoom, like today, please note it. I and Serena, we take attendance and we write on our attendance sheet Zoom. Or if you're physically here, you can write your initials, but then she verifies that with your timesheet as well. Charge nurse premium must be noted as well. Please indicate if your lunch was taken during charge nurse time. Charge nurse per contract is noted as the person who has the phone and pager. If you are covering a charge nurse break and have the phone and page, you are covering charge, even if you're not oriented to that duty. Most likely that's going to be on a weekend or night shift. It basically, if you haven't been oriented to charge, but I say, Megan, you're in charge. Like, here's the phone and you can still get the shift premium. Does that make sense?
In the past, we were told not, because that's not how we have to be trained to be a charge. And then you have to have more than called in charge to say I'm in charge.
Obviously, that's not the ideal situation, but by this contract language, it says most likely weekends and nights. You just might not have somebody who's been oriented to charge, but you can still get paid.
I mean, it happens a lot when you're
Somebody's
at
gonna
Mott.
take it, yeah.
It happens a lot at Mott.
One of them is like, she wants to know exactly the hours, not just saying 8 hours. She wants to know exactly the hours. So sometimes I cover a charge in B1, then I have another break, then I cover another charge in VIA, then I have another break, then I have another charge to cover at Mott. So you cover multiple hours, and there is no space there to write everything she wants us to.
Okay. Amanda, so the question is, those people that, end up covering a lot of different charge, lunches, how do they indicate that? Obviously, they need to write that on their sheet, but when it's multiple lunches, it's hard to indicate all of that. But you could always send her a separate email, make a separate note, like sticky note, something else on your, just on your timesheet.
How is that helping her? Because if I'm a day shift, I don't get paid. If I am an afternoon shift, I get the payment. She was talking about the payment, but I don't see how is that helping her in her pain. She got the problem with those speakers.
Extended sick can be used intermittent. Stuff about.
You need to clean over here too.
extended sick time.
Awesome, thank you.
I wanted to get word, guys. He's like, well, I was like, well, it's like, you know,
Hey, Amanda.
I get myself on speaker, so it's weird.
Oh, you might want to mute yourself. But I have no idea why my speaker won't work. Or I can hear you though. Wait.
I know, and like people who can talk on Zoom and I can hear them on my end, but you can't hear them either. So if anybody on Zoom, it's something, I don't know if the speaker's there or what, but they're not working.
Okay. Okay, the last question that, or the most recent one that was brought up is the whole charge nurse thing, the charge nurse premium, how it's noted. And then if somebody is going from like B1 back to UH over to Mott and then back to UH again, and it's all lunch coverage. So do you just start from like lunch coverage or charge nurse lunch coverage from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.? Is that what you want to see? Or do they write each individual assignment for their charge?
I don't necessarily need to know, well, I guess unless it's Mott again, because B1 is still charged to UH. I think the one thing that we had decided, like management wise with charge nurse premium, is if you're covering somebody's charge nurse like lunch break, I know that there's report that has to be given and then report that has to be received, plus the break in between, which is what, 45 minutes. So I think we had decided that if you're covering somebody's charge nurse lunch break, it's going to be for 1 hour. That's what you're going to be paid. So if you're covering somebody from like 10 to 12, or we'll say 10 to 11, sorry, then you would just write charge nurse from 10 to 11. And then if it's at Mott, indicate Mott.
Okay.
So then.
But like between pre-op, PACU, and B1, I don't necessarily need to know like where you're at, just as long as if you're at Mott, indicate that. So hopefully that's a little easier.
Why does she need exactly the time is my question.
Because you're only paid for the charge nurse premium for that 1 hour.
So I'm calculated in a day, I cover 3 lunch breaks for church. 1 in PACU, 1 in pre-op, 1 in B1.
So you'll get 3 hours of charge nurse.
Yes.
Right? She wants to know the timing also.
She wants to know specifically when you're at Mott covering a lunch charge. Yeah, the other ones automatically get charged to
charge.
UH.
Yep, the only one that's different is mine.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Got it.
Is that's a little more clear, at least I think too, but. Any other questions about charge nurse stuff? Okay,
It's online, has to do.
there's nothing in the chat right now. Do they need to indicate?
In the chat.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, let's keep going because I know we're gonna run out of time. Unit needs and coverage, so. Mute. Unit needs include pre-approved PTO from the sign up or immediate needs that are paged or emailed out. Remember to update the OT log for your credit. Anything attached to your shift is automatically paid at 1.5, as well as anything over 40 hours worked. Anything not attached to your shift and is under 40 hours, or you called in and gave away your hours, it's paid at 1. If you're still approved for the OAOT incentive, or if we are still approved, please note that you want pay or PTO in the comment section. I revert the pay if nothing is noted.
Do you pick up unit needs? Like I work 36 hours, so I pick up unit needs. Isn't it automatically unit needs double pay? Or do I have to get to 40 hours before I hit the double pay?
You have to get to the 40 hours.
So are you talking about the incentive pay?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
so
you
like,
answer that.
There's two different
The
rates with
94,
the
I call it
incentive,
double
unless,
hours.
is a nurse asking or is a tech asking?
This is a nurse asking.
Okay, sorry.
They both,
Tech and the nurse are two different policies.
oh,
So right now we're in the standard incentive. So if it's over appointment, if you are 36 hours and you pick up a different day, you have to get to 40 hours before you get double time. So instead of straight time, you would get time and a half. And then instead of time and a half, you would get double time. So you're still getting the incentive even for anything less than 40 hours, but it's not going to be right away double time unless it's attached to your shift. Then it would automatically be double time.
does that make sense?
Say that one
How
more
about for the
time.
techs? What's the
The
difference?
text is automatically going to be double time. Theirs is a different policy for non-bargain.
Say that
the
again,
techs-
you're automatically double time?
Yep, the texts are automatically going to be double time, whether it's under or above 40 hours. But they also have to where they don't keep the incentive even with scheduled PTO, whereas nurses only lose the incentive if it's unscheduled PTO. So there's different things about each incentive for bargain versus non-bargain.
Did that clarify what about the OT though? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Kinda. Danielle's looking like she doesn't. Okay.
Hey, I'm hoping.
Okay.
You're the best, but that sounds like Nicole.
Yeah,
Right? So
they're trying to
yeah,
explain a
she'll
little bit.
automatically get double time as long as she doesn't have any time off, like of her regular appointment this week.
So as long as like a 40-hour person, but for Danielle, that's 32. Anything over 32, she gets incentive, correct?
Yes.
Okay, wait, yes,
Correct.
anything. Yeah, if you call off you're late, then you don't
Or
get it.
even scheduled time
Or
off.
scheduled PTO,
for text.
then you don't get it. Yeah. Okay, what else we got? Low census. So low census must be pre-approved based on the caseload. Remember to update the go home early book for credit. Low census can be paid with PTO and can be approved no pay. Low census does not disqualify you from incentive pay if you if it's still approved from the pre-approval full appointment on the holiday weeks.
I just want to interject right here. I have a lot of questions regarding low census going home early. It does not remove full appointment incentive. So like if you're working full appointment, but one of your days it's low census, you can go home and still get your full appointment for either pay or PTO option. Same with the incentive. It does not remove the incentive. It has to be low census though. So like if you're going home sick at the end of your shift and it's not low census, that can change things. But as long as it is low census, then it does not remove the incentive for full appointment or for the incentive.
That is for nurses.
I believe so.
That's for both. Well,
Oh,
yes, for nurses, I would have to ask HR about tax, because again, that can get tricky with any time off with the shift. So I can email HR and follow up for.
okay. All right, what else we got? On call and working on call. Working on call starts when you arrive to the unit. Anything between being called and arriving is still on call pay. Please note the times when you are on call or physically called in. If your on-call times aren't noted, then that forces Amanda to look up the on-call schedules, which causes delays. Working on-call times are not noted anywhere, so she does rely on you yourself, the employee, to note the times for accurate pay. So take credit of what you're working, like make sure you write that in. And if you're just on call, but then called in, that has to be defined on your timesheet. Did you have a question?
Just a little bit too. So, say for instance, if we clock in, because we have to clock in, like, if I gotta be here at 5:30 and I clock in at 5:31, is that negate the incentive pay?
So the question is, we're going back to incentive pay real quick for the tax. If they have to be here at 5:30 and they clock in at 5:31, does that mitigate the incentive pay because they're 1 minute late?
No, because I wouldn't be using PTU unless it's anything over, technically it's 7 minutes for text because it's punch time.
Okay.
So as long as there's no PTU, although just be very careful with your punch in times.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, excuse me. The action on call. If you're called into MOT, again, we want to make sure that you note that in the comments. And then you can see the examples below on the timesheet. They were on call, there's on call hours for 8. They were on call from 1600 to 24 or 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. 1600 to 2400. And then down, I guess the other example would be when they were on call, it was 4 p.m. to midnight, but they actually worked 10 p.m. to midnight. So that's important that you indicate when you're on call and then what you actually get called into work. Working holiday and full appointment. So the working holiday shifts are not pre-built into your timesheet. That's what, it's just your straight time, your normal shift. So it's important to write your holiday in there. Full appointment must be requested for and approved during scheduled development only. Picking up unit needs after the schedule is posted does not qualify. Picking up shifts from other staff members after schedule is posted does not qualify. And you must note the PTO or pay for working full appointment. Whether you want to choose, if you work your full appointment the holiday week, you can take that PTO credit and dump it in your bank, or you just want to get paid right then and there because you want the pay right now. If nothing is listed, they will default it to just getting paid. So make sure that you indicate that. I know when I was a new employee, that was the way I started to build up my PTO bank. If I was able to work my full appointment, then I could bank that and you'd have a little extra cushion there. So the example just says below, they worked the holiday from 8 to 2, worked full appointment. They wrote PTO, that they want to just dump those hours in their PTO bank. Any questions on that? I think the last few things about timesheets then, if you do not update your timesheet, you will be paid for your regular hours, your regular FTE only. It is your responsibility to have your timesheet completed and received for an accurate paycheck. Payroll closes on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. for the weeks that you get paid. So the Tuesday before payday is when payroll closes. Any changes reported to payroll after that will be added to the following check. There is a high dollar amount. If there is a high dollar missing, the $100 minimum, correction forms can be submitted to the hospital payroll for additional deposit the following Monday. Deadline is 11 a.m. that Thursday, with the exception of early payrolls due to holidays. Okay, and then the last thing I had, Serena and I had added for ACLS and BLS. It is your responsibility to keep track of your certifications. We provide the classes to you guys, but as professionals, you got to keep track of your own ACLS and BLS. ACLS is valid for 2 years. U of M classes do fill up fast, so you must give a 3-month heads up to Amanda to schedule you for that. And Amanda's part of all this. She will schedule, she will pay with our short code. She books the actual course for you, and then we'll file your certification when it's completed. They all have to be filed in our blue folders. That's for JCO. So when you finish the course, a copy has to go to Amanda for your blue folder. Electronic is fine. If you email it, it's fine. So Amanda will register you for the ACLS using that short code. The costs are covered if you do it here. Majority of ACLS is completed online now. I think if you've done it in the last 2 years, everybody, you've done the online version. It's much easier. It is a little long, but it's your pace. Online modules must be completed no later than 1 week. So they do give you a 7-day window of like, your class has to be completed, and then within 7 days, you're going to take your skills check off for ACLS. Once the online modules are completed, you will receive an email of the Sign Up Genius, and that is when you select your hands-on testing time. The hands-on testing generally takes 2 hours, and it'll be built into your scheduled shift. So you don't have to do it on overtime or another day. You can actually request to make sure that's built into your shift. If you prefer to go elsewhere, you have options. Healthcare Education Strategies, or HES, is in Taylor, and they accept our short code. Amanda will also has the ability to register for that. And you can go to life support. Life support must be paid in advance though, and then you request reimbursement after you complete the course. You can go anywhere, essentially, if it's close to your house or whatever, but it has to be AHA certified location for U of M to receive it as and approve it. If your card expires, you will need to complete a new provider course, which will cost more and takes more time. You will not be allowed to work. That's the big caveat to all this, that it is the hospital policy that if you don't, or our unit policy, if you work in an area we have critical care, you let your ACLS expire, you can't work. Same thing with BLS. Like you can't work if you don't have your certification up to date. Any time off until you recertify will be paid with your PTO. So that's also kind of a drag. Like you want to save your vacation to take your vacation, not to make up this BLS or ACLS. So bottom line, don't let it expire. The other thing, Serena and I, we don't chase you guys down for this. A lot of people think that we're able to keep track of everybody's certifications, we can print a report once a year that we do for our blitz. But otherwise, like, we're not constantly looking and checking up on people's certification. So just like your any other licensure or certification that you keep, it's your responsibility to keep track of it. All right, I think that's it. Questions, comments, anything else to add, Amanda?
Nothing to add unless anybody has questions.
I'll send this PowerPoint out, and obviously I recorded this on Zoom. Please direct your any other questions or concerns to Amanda, and then she can further expand from an HR standpoint. So,
And I think one of the slides had my email and my phone number, just in case anybody doesn't have it. If they do have further questions.
okay. Lorelai, did you have one question?
If you're scheduled to have a vacation on that week, and then you decided to work on that day, you're still gonna pull out the PTO time?
The question is, if you are scheduled for PTO
She used my PTO and I went.
and you decide to work, do you still get charged for your PTO?
No, because I can't take any PTO above your appointment. So if you worked your appointment, I wouldn't take any PTO out.
So you have to indicate that you gave your PTO back.
Mm-hmm. Or in her case, I would see a punch time.
Well,
Did you punch in? Like you would have punched in and punched out?
got my PTO.
Oh, that can be a
Have her
discussion.
email me.
Yeah, you need to email Amanda and she'll figure that out if they can give you back those PTO hours. There is one more question. Mark said, what if we forget to sign our timesheet and forget to email Amanda? You don't
in
get
that
paid,
case,
Mark.
Like I said, you would still get your regular, in Mark's case, 36 hours. But if there was anything that he worked in addition to that, or if he missed any on-call, I can add it to your next check. You would just need to either indicate it on your next timesheet. You can write a note to me, or you can email or call and I can add it to your next check.
Gotcha.
Because I can backdate anything usually within 6 months. I still have the ability to make changes. Anything more than 6 months would have to have a paper form submitted to hospital payroll.
Okay,
So hopefully there's no corrections that far back.
yeah. Don't forget to sign your timesheet, Mark. Anybody? All right, thanks, guys. I think this is great. Thanks, Amanda. We appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Yeah.
Bye.
Assignment?